Well, hello everyone. It's day 2 of the lockdown and I thought I'd give you a quick update on what's happening. I've decided to film another vlog since this is something I can do pretty regularly here since I'm not able to get out and do any photography. So what I was thinking of, well, at the minute it's now almost 11 o'clock, everyone's away to bed. Sitting here in the sunroom. Rua, my dog, is beside me down here under this chair. She's out for the count wrecked. We got a walk in earlier, but she won't leave me. She won't go to bed. Rua's missing her adventures too. She normally goes to the coast with us, running on the beaches and even in the snow up the mountain. But at the minute she's sort of restricted to walking around the neighbourhood just like ourselves, so she's feeling it too. But we're getting plenty of exercise anyway, working around the garden and doing various things. And anyway, enough of that boring stuff. I've been, see if I can turn this down. I've been, it's hard to get decent light in the room. I've got 4 different lights on here trying to get myself showing up well in the dark here. And my tripod's on quite a tiled floor, which is quite slippy. But anyway, I've updated my website today. If you follow my website nightskyhunter.com, there's a new image report on all about my moonlit snow shoot on Glensheen Pass. I'll be starting to work on the new one on the Zodiacal Light this week. She's out for the count. So I was thinking of this time, I'd like to talk about how I got interested in storms, in storm chasing and storm photography. How do I explain that one? Well, it all came about accidentally. As you know, I've been, in my heart of hearts, I've been an astronomer. I've been an observer of the night sky for a very long time. I began, I don't know now, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was a long time ago anyway. And I was active in it for about 5 or 6 years of relentless observing, backyard observing with telescopes. And throughout the course of that time, I'd evolved from a 2-inch cheap refractor, which I got for Christmas one time, right up to a 16-inch Meade Starfinder Dobsonian, which was the largest telescope I've ever owned. That telescope was so large I literally could climb inside the tube, which I did do on occasion when I was cleaning it out. And there's a photograph somewhere of that, but I'm too embarrassed to post it, it looks ridiculous. But I could climb inside it, it's a big telescope. So I had the 16-inch, to cut a long story short, I had the 16-inch Dobsonian mounted in the backyard. I had a big back garden back then in the old house. I have to say it was a good location considering it's just outside the town of Mackara. The neighbourhood was pretty decent, there were street lights but they were not too bad. And my view to the west, southwest, northwest and north and parts of the east was quite respectable. The sky was very dark back then and very high quality. And my 16-inch telescope was so big I literally could not carry it out from the garage into the garden every night. So I had it permanently mounted in the back garden. And when I say permanently mounted, I don't mean some kind of sophisticated observatory or roll-off roof design that I put together. I mean, it literally sat on the grass in the back garden, and I put a weatherproof tarpaulin cover over the top of it and used these large breeze blocks on top of the cover to hold the cover down on Monday nights. So it was a bit cruel in the telescope because over the course of the years it got affected by the elements from moisture and rain, and it got battered and I got mud splashed around it. From the area around the telescope I walked, because I was searching for comets and finding things in the sky. I was moving around the telescope, all different angles, so you had this path imprinted on the ground around the base of the telescope, which turned to pure mud eventually in the bad weather. But anyway, it was quick to set up. That's what I liked about it. I was able to walk into the backyard without any, personally, to digress a little bit here, for any kind of successful observing or searching, or you need to be able to react. And the same goes for photography and storm chasing too. You need to be able to react fast to a situation and get out shooting or observing. And if you spend too much time unpacking gear, assembling gear, and you have to adjust mounts and blah blah blah, do this, that and the other, if it becomes too complicated, you're going to miss things. You're not going to get out very often, and very soon you'll be making excuses not to go out at all. So if you're keen on achieving goals and experiencing cool things in nature, you really got to be able to just be accessible and be accessible fast. So with this 16-inch it actually worked out very well. Anytime it was clear, every evening I walked out to the garden, all I did was lifted the breeze blocks out of the way, pulled the cover off, and I had this large telescope completely accessible. I had a homemade dust cap on it, which was massive. Took it off, and that was it. Ready to observe, literally eye in the eyepiece, move the telescope looking through the finder scope or the telerad finder. I would line up the telerad with the view in the eyepiece to make sure they were aligned, and then I would begin my search for comets. So I kept this going for years, observed every single night, even daytime. I observed sunspots by day with a Meade 90mm ETX. I started observing from the twilight onward, right through all night long into the pre-dawn sky until the stars were no longer visible. I would do this most nights, most clear nights, if not every clear night, either searching for comets or deep sky observing, or observing known comets, watching meteor showers, watching the aurora with the naked eye, trying to see it all, trying to learn the sky, observe everything, sketch. Wonderful times of some of my best observing sessions. Throughout the course of this though, I had no interest in the weather, or storms for that matter. The weather is something that would have maddened me if anyone brought it up. I could not give a monkey's about the weather. I needed clear skies, plain and simple. I don't want to hear anything about clouds. I needed to be clear as often as possible so I could search as much as possible. And the more clear nights I have, the more searching I do, the logic would be, the luckier I should become. I should be able to have a higher chance of finding something, either something new to me or an actual discovery itself. I know that's very rare. But anyway, on one of these particular nights, I was out with the 16-inch telescope on a beautiful dark starry night in McKenna. The telescope was relatively new, but it made a creaking sound from all the moisture on it. There's a wheel on the side of the Dodgonian mount. It sits on Teflon pads into the rocker box, and over time it gave us like creaky sound, and it didn't sound like much during the day, but on a quiet night it's actually quite noisy, and I got the feeling the neighbours heard it and it probably annoyed them when they were sleeping. But this particular late evening is probably, I'm guessing it was around March or April. I was searching for comets. I have a neighbour who lives next door to me called Connor MacDonald. He's a very good friend of mine, has been for many years, and he's the one that's responsible for this change in my life. So Connor has this interest in the weather and thunderstorms. So I'm sitting there searching for comets on this particular night, and Connor, as usual, steps outside to see what I'm doing. He looks from his wall across into my garden and sees my new big telescope, the 16-inch. He had a cup of tea in his hand, which he referred to as a brew. And all I heard was his expression in the dark, holy, I'll not say the word, but he was excited, he couldn't believe it. He jumped off the wall about 7 foot onto the ground in the garden, ran across, climbed over my fence so fast, I don't know how he did it, landed beside me, and he was so excited, he could not believe the telescope, the size of it. He was blown away. So this is how this night unfolded. So we started talking to each other. I started showing him a few things in the telescope. At this stage, Connor was getting used to my nightly antics about searching. He had a passing interest in astronomy. He didn't know much about it, but he would come over and look through the telescopes. And I would show him things, and I would tell him about comet hunting, I'd tell him about the aurora, and he would sit back with a cup of tea and observe the sky with the naked eye while I searched, and occasionally he would look through the eyepiece of anything in particular interest. This went on, this relationship, for quite a while. And one particular night he brought up the subject of storms. As I searched frantically, in a slightly bad mood I think that night, to be honest, Connor was going on about the UK Weather Board Forum, which still exists by the way, a great place. They're talking about a chance, there's a big windstorm coming in, there could be 90-mile gusts, and there's even a chance of tornadoes. Connor was really excited by this. I mean, he was obsessed. And to be honest with you, I was really peed off inside. I didn't want to say anything to him to offend him, but to me it was like a slap in the face. You know what I mean? I'm searching for comets here, I need clear skies, and you're getting excited telling me about some big storm coming and bringing in clouds, going to ruin my clear nights for the rest of the week. Not good for me, I don't want to hear that kind of thing. So Connor went on about it. I went on about the chances of tornadoes, and in my head I was thinking, no way, there's no such thing as good storms in this country. You don't get tornadoes in Ireland, it doesn't happen. What kind of fantasy land does this guy living in? That's pretty much my thought process at the time. And by the way, I'm not being insulting Connor at all. This is just how I felt at the time, you know, I was in a mood. This kind of conversation went on for a while, and Connor kept going on about storms, going on about tornado watches issued by Toro, risk of tornadoes, chance of thunderstorms, convection. And I got to the point, he talked about it that often, that I started to absorb what he was saying. And over the passage of time, we actually did a bit of an unintentional swap. He maintained his passion of storms, but he developed an interest in the night sky and astronomy through me. And through him, I got to develop an interest in the weather and storms. And eventually his passion was so strong, so vibrant, and it rubbed off on me big time. And after a while, the next thing, I was starting to use terms I didn't know anything about before. I was saying CBs. I was talking about Mamados clouds, convection obviously being our favourite word. And very quickly this swap, this marriage of weather and astronomy became a full-blown obsession for the both of us. So we quickly began observing the daytime sky as well as the nighttime sky. So this was like a full-time job for us pretty much, fit it into the course of our lives at the time, whatever we were doing. Every day we're observing the sky, we're watching sunsets, we're watching clouds, we're identifying clouds. And we actually had our first cameras. We started doing our first weather photography, and believe it or not, the first camera I had was a 1 million pixel Fujifilm Finepix silver little camera, which I still have. It doesn't work, but I still have it. I'm proud to say. 1 million pixel digital camera. And with this camera we began chasing, and by that I mean we didn't have cars back then, we couldn't drive. So we began spending hours out. Anytime there was a risk of stormy weather, be it Atlantic windstorms or thunderstorms, we'd be out documenting the clouds, photographing, working on our compositions, using each other and standing in the frame for a bit of interest. So we pretty much started out shooting from the backyard and the front yards, and for our early images all you seen really was house aerials, rooftops, chimney tops, that kind of thing, which isn't really nice at all for a photograph. But we were kind of creative. We started using the environment, we started using, like if there's a puddle, we go for a reflection of Mamados in the puddle. Try to get a creative mindset for photography. And after a while we realised we got to get some better nature scenes here for these images. The sky is class, we're getting these cool clouds, but they don't look good over houses. So we ended up wanting to get fields and roads in our shots and good horizons. So we ended up hiking into the countryside, sometimes for miles. Anytime there's a chance of anything interesting in the sky, we would carry the camera gear, some water, snacks, a flask of tea, and we'd hike into the countryside through summertime heat or wintertime snow. We'd be setting up the cameras, shooting everything, shooting rainbows, you name it. And this is how we got into storm photography. It was kind of a gradual thing. There was no plan to it, it just naturally evolved into that. So the seed was planted in me, thanks to Connor, and it became a full-blown obsession. I now was regularly scanning the skies during the day for cool clouds that I could shoot on camera, while at night I was continuing my observing and search for comets. But then, what happened after that? Our first official chase happened on July 16th, 2007? Was it 2007? Good thunderstorm risk that day for the UK weather word. I wasn't actually driving at the time. Connor was the first person to drive between the two of us. The next time I get this phone call from him saying, storms moving up, multi-sails coming up from the south, fast, do you want to go, do you want to chase? And I was like, yes. Connor, about 10 minutes later, arrived at my house. He had his girlfriend with him at the time, Christina, and I jumped in the car with him and we tore off. And this was our first official storm chase ever, in a car. And it was a complete success. Long story short, we got great hailstones bouncing off the roof of the car, someone coming inside the car smacking in the face. There were great CGs, good thunder, real torrential rainfall. We chased it the whole way out Desert Martin direction and across and up Slieve Galleon, the local mountain. And from the top there, we literally couldn't even leave the car. The cloud to ground lightning, the deadly CG bolts were coming down around us, very close range, and we were at the highest spot in the country. So if we stepped outside those doors, we had a significant risk of being killed. The lightning frequency was quite incredible and it was extremely scary. I remember feeling this feeling of being petrified, but at the same time loving it. So once the storm shifted a little bit, there was still CGs coming down on the hill. We got out, we ran across the mountaintop, still exposed to danger of course, which is stupid, but we ran across the mountain to the highest point, got our cameras, sweating like mad, hardly catch our breath, we're running that much with excitement. The storm had just passed the summit and there's this big curtain of hailstones just dripping over the countryside as the storm slowly passed away. The sun came out, lit up the hill, and all we could see was random CG bolts coming down through the curtains, hitting the countryside below. It was mesmerising. Amazingly, I had my cheap first 1 million pixel camera, I put it to video mode, I began recording, and boom, I caught 2 CGs side by side coming down, bang bang, through that hill into the ground. I was overwhelmed. I loved the feeling. It was just something I can't explain. To be able to go out there and experience this awesomeness, this storm, and to actually catch something on camera or video, a fleeting moment, this transient phenomenon that may not repeat itself in that moment in time again, and you got it, you captured it, you got a digital trophy from that amazing experience. That's what it felt like to me. I was buzzing. And as this was happening, the anvil of the storm was over the top of the mountain with these charcoal grey mammatus clouds forming above us and drifting away. We photographed those too. We were buzzing. That was me hooked. I was hooked 100% on storm chasing.
Hello, Rhea.
They're alright. Rhea's probably heard the story a million times.
Jump up there. Go. Go.
And if that wasn't good enough, the following day, July 17th, was another risk of thunderstorms. I didn't think anything could beat the first day, but this day blew my mind completely. If there was ever any doubt at all, even a fraction of a doubt whether or not this would take over my life or not, that was dispelled on this day. 24 hours later, another convective outlook was issued by Tony Gilbert from UK Weather World. He had a risk of thunderstorms and convergence zone, which was positioned over Mid-Ulster area, where we lived. So we were on alert all day. Once again, no phone calls were made this day. Connor was doing his own thing with Christina this time, and he was out and about doing whatever. And I wasn't aware that he was sky watching, but I was pretty confident he would have been. I remember this thunderstorm approaching. There was thunder boom in the distance and cells appearing. It was a really hot, humid day. The convection was going up all around the place and it looked extremely promising. I was standing at the back door having a brew, thinking to myself, right, once I finish this brew, I'm going to head out on foot here with the camera gear. I'm going to see what I can get. The next thing I seen this, not so much seen as heard, this car flying up the estate at high speed. I don't mean dangerously driving, but driving with intent. It was very dry that summer, so the area, there was a new area being built, so there was still building construction going on. The place was dry and covered with dust, and all I seen was this trail of dust rising into the air from the back of this car, and way up onto the hill. I recognised it immediately as Connor. Connor was on a mission. Something had got him excited, and he was flying up to the hill near where I lived for a vantage point. I immediately knew something was brewing, so I grabbed my camera gear and ran up to the top of the hill where I met Connor and Christina. This was one of the best experiences of my life related to storms. We stood there, we must have had 5 cells around us at the one time, all of them solid. 2 active thunderstorms out of the 5, one to the northeast with a big curtain of hail coming down, lightning coming out of it, another one in the distance to the southwest. But the one to the east was the one that intrigued us all. Previous to this, I should say, we were talking about I would love to see an FC, or a funnel cloud, FC for short. We'd seen photographs on the UK Weather World from the guys in England and Wales, and we thought what we wouldn't give to see a funnel cloud. It must be so rare to capture one of these things. Maybe someday we'll do it. That's going to be our goal. Never thought we'd actually achieve that. Well, and we did this day. The cell to the east wasn't even producing thunder. It was the quiet cell. But it had a menacing look about it. It had a very well defined base, a black base, and I remember looking up at the anvil that was sweeping up. The cell itself was over the County Antrim area near Loch May, and the anvil was sweeping up right overhead in Mahara, and the anvil was solid, absolutely rock solid. I remember looking up at it, the sun burning the back of my neck, just thinking, whoa, that is impressive. It was actually kind of intimidating. I felt intimidated because I knew with an anvil that large and that solid, there's some serious air currents rising up through that, so we had a powerful updraft in place in that storm. Well, that was the storm that produced the action. We were standing there talking, the next thing, I looked to the east, towards the base of that cell, and I seen what I can only describe as a slug, a huge bloated black slug come out the side of the base and seemed to morph as if it had been born, and it came alive and formed and evolved into this shape, this living entity is what it looked like. And it took on the shape of a funnel, and boom, you had this large funnel cloud forming. And actually, to this day, it's the best I've ever seen yet in all these years of storm chasing. The funnel was formed a large wedge at one point, like a wedge shape like that. It was rotating fast, and then it started to take on a bend, had the classic sort of curved tornado look to it. And at the base of this solid, large funnel was a snout that appeared, and from the snout a pencil thin condensation vortex could be seen with the naked eye coming out below it, and it was spinning fast and rising up and down. And I remember it brushing near the ground, very, very close to touching down as a tornado. And the funnel rose back up again, rotated, corrected itself, and back down a second time to the ground, rose back up, and roped out. When I say roped out, it stretched into this long rope and then broke into 3 sections. 3 cylinders sitting in the sky at the same time, and these cylinders were rotating with space between them as they detached from the storm and then evaporated into thin air. The whole funnel lasted about 15 minutes long. Connor and I and Christina watched the whole thing. I documented it on my camera with my Fujifilm bridge camera at the time, which had a good 10-12 zoom on it. I was able to get in pretty close to that, and Connor had an old VHS, V8 camcorder. I remember that he got great footage of it. It was very shaky, but he got it. He captured the whole excitement of us running across this top of the site and filming it and being in awe. And there was a lot of cursing done on the video. You might still have that video somewhere. I hope he does. I hope we can find it again and get it back on the net. But we captured that funnel cloud that day. It was one of the most exciting things I've ever seen. I was astonished by it. I became obsessed. Nothing mattered after that point to me. Seeing another funnel cloud and viewing these thunderstorms became my purpose in life. It actually overshadowed the astronomy stuff for a while. It took a few years to get back into that balance again. But from that experience, I began observing the skies every time there's a convective outlook. I would walk for miles in the countryside. I would shoot everything. I'd be studying every cloud base, every bit of scud. I learned how to identify what was scud, what was a scud sucker, and what was a funnel cloud. And it actually turned out to be really good training. But to fast forward a bit, when I got into my proper storm chasing, I still needed a car. For a couple of years that followed after that, I still couldn't drive. So I walked into the miles into the countryside to a big hill outside McKenna, which was a great location actually. I found this field, sometimes there'd be cows in it. I had to just make my way through them. On hot days I would take my food supply and water, and I would spend maybe 8, 9, 10 hours just out in a field, photographing convection, hoping for thunderstorms across the McKenna area, and sometimes they did, and I got some really nice shots and got treated, but I fell in love with that experience of being out in nature, in the countryside with these storms over the fields and mountains. There was nothing like it. The sound of thunder booming and echoing across open countryside or across the valleys and peaks of a mountain is something to be experienced. It's completely different from hearing thunder near a built up area or town or city. It's special. It's like a drug. I loved it, and I wanted to experience it again for the rest of my life, and that's what I kept doing. But eventually it came to the point where I got so fascinated by the photography aspect of things. No longer was I shooting storms over rooftops and aerials. I was out documenting them over flat fields in the countryside, trying to get scenic shots, barns and farms and an isolated tree, some nice crop, mountain scenes, and even sheep and cows. You know, anything to get that nature country look over the storm. That makes a big difference with the storm photography. To have that sort of, the storm has to dominate the frame of the camera. It has to dominate the sky. And if you have a big cluttered foreground that's messy, it's going to distract from the storm to begin with, and you lose your perspective of the whole storm's effect on the earth. So you have to have a scene that balances itself out well with the storm. The storm has to reign king, it has to dominate the shot, it has to be dramatic, and there should be little in the way of clutter if possible in the shot to show it in its element at its finest. So that was my goal, to try to get these wider shots. So I got into it in a big way. I got upgraded from my Fujifilm. I'm a two Fujifilm bridge cameras, and then I upgraded to my first DSLR, which was a Canon 450D. I began shooting with the kit lens for a long time, and then eventually I got a lens off my dad. He had a Canon 10 to 22mm f3.5 wide angle. Isn't using it anymore, so I got to borrow that one and never give it back pretty much. All my storm photography was with that wide angle lens. You need a wide angle for a lot of storm scenes, to be honest. But anyway, that's what happened. I decided in order to improve my chances of seeing storms and seeing more of them and capturing more of them and getting better images, I had to drive. So I began taking lessons. I'll plug the guy who did it. He's a lovely man, Bernard Hart, Mahara. I think he's now retired, but he was a lovely guy. I began lessons with him, and the first couple of times I think he began to quickly catch on to my intentions with the whole driving thing. He was asking me why I wanted to drive, what was my interest in it. It must be something he asked everyone, to find out their mindset and the reason for things. And I said, to be honest with you, Bernard, I just want to drive to chase thunderstorms and do photography. And he kind of looked at me as if, are you taking the hand out of me? He didn't believe, he thought I was winding him up. And I says, no, I'm actually wanting to chase thunderstorms. And even now, as I'm doing my driving lesson, I'm scanning fields and country roads, looking for foreground interest, looking for laybys where I can pull over and shoot a storm in the future. That's what I was doing even while I was doing the lesson. He caught on pretty soon. I was serious, I wasn't joking at all, and I think we got on well after that. So I passed my test on the second attempt. The first attempt I did something stupid. I can't really blame myself for it. I felt like I was misled by the examiner, but I'm not blaming anyone. Simple mistake. Redid it, passed it with flying colours, almost 100% success rate on the second one, so I was happy with that. And then that was me straight into the action. I passed my test during the severe winter of 2009 into 2010, and I freed myself into the snow. I spent the whole winter snow chasing on the ice in some of the worst winter conditions I've ever drove on with no experience, and I learned from that how to do winter photography and how to drive on snow and ice and get away with it. So that was a very learning and fun, exciting time. I should say before this, I skipped a little bit there. I know this is dragging on a bit, but I've got all the time in the world with this crisis. I have to give credit to my mum, Carmel, for this, because while I was learning to drive, I was also practicing driving in the evenings when I wasn't with the instructor, and I was with my mum on my mum's car, so she would let me drive. Sometimes we had big fallouts about decisions I was making on the road and stuff like that, as you naturally would expect. There was a lot of tension, but it also was a great time, because I also used this chance to go storm chasing. I said to my mum, I would just randomly go multi-cells over Loch Ness right now, we need to go chasing now. And we'd grab the gear. My mum would first drive out, take me woofer, and I'd be in the passenger seat, the camera down the window, shooting out the window. I'd be telling her where to go, take this road here. She would take it. She was very good at reacting and making fast decisions. As long as she had someone pointing her in the right direction, she was great. And she would pull over in the middle of the road, even if I asked her to I get a shot of a storm. But we had a good connection going, and she really enjoyed that too, the part of the chase in nature, and so that was really cool. And then eventually got to the stage where whenever I was practicing driving before the test, I was going chasing in the evenings with mum beside me, so we turned it into storm chasing. Everything revolved around storm chasing and photography, mostly anything to do with driving, and that's pretty much the case to this day. And now, of course, I've been doing this for years. I chase storms all the time. I now chase storms all over the country wherever I deem to be justifiable in terms of diesel expenditure and photogenicness. I like local chases, especially. My favourite area is actually Mahara, Glenchain Pass, Sperrins, right through into the Oma Road area, Cookstown, Oma direction. Lovely countryside, very good chase territory. I'm very happy if I see a setup that focuses energy in that area, because it's not only do you need nice scenery and flat open ground, flat fields and nice views to see the storm, you need to see the storm base too. You can't have obstructions. If you see the storm base, you have a higher chance of seeing lightning, you have a better chance of seeing funnel clouds and catching them on camera. But to have a good road network is very important. Having a major road and then side roads you can branch off from will still have good views. And over the years you eventually learn what parts of the country are better for storm chasing and photography. So over the period of time you sort of pick, you go to different parts of the different counties and different towns, countryside, and you make a mental note in your head what area looks good to the southwest or west, what area looks good to the east or south, and what do I need high ground. If I need a high ground, where can I go? If I want an open field, where do I go? Is there a lake where I can get reflections, or is there an area where I will end up stuck on traffic guaranteed every day in rush hour? If so, what area to avoid? All this kind of stuff comes into play. So you pick up that over the years, and you have your favourite spots, and that's really part of the process of storm chasing. So I don't know what to say now after all that. That's pretty much just the basics of how I got into it. Storm chasing is a major part of my life right now, along with my passion for astronomy and comets and noctilucens and clouds and various other phenomena. The two go hand in hand for me. I see thunderstorms and dramatic weather as a stormy but perfect marriage with astronomy. You can't do astronomy without studying the weather, because you need to know what nights are going to be clear. And to study, you can't see thunderstorms unless you know how to study the weather too. So the knowledge crosses both gamuts, so it does. But now I've took things to the next level. Not only do I enjoy thunderstorms or chasing them and seeing them and getting them on camera, but I enjoy forecasting them. I love the science behind it, the synoptic setups to produce storms. So I spend a lot of time studying that kind of thing now. So it used to be I'd rely on our forecasters years ago for these outlooks, and then I would chase in the area they put on their maps, and that's still difficult because it's still a large area. It's really down to luck. But now with the kind of stuff that's available on the internet, you've got great websites out there. You've got various forecasting models. You can study what area is more likely to produce storm, what days look better. You can look at the synoptic. I love trying to figure all that out and then start chasing and see how models actually match reality. Studying how much CAPE or convective available potential energy there is in the atmosphere, the lifted index, lifted condensation level, how low the cloud bases are going to be. Is it going to be low dark basis kind of storm day, or is it going to be elevated basis? Is there a chance of funnel clouds? Is there a marked convergence zone in the country somewhere, one or more of them, where you could get rotation? Is there wind shear? Is there vertical wind shear, speed shear? Is the storm going to be slightly organised? Are they going to be multi-cells? Are they going to be rare supercellular traits? Are they going to line out into squall line features? Or are they just going to be pulse storms? There's a different variety of thunderstorms and structures you can get out there, and all of them are different. I've never seen two storms or convective clouds that look exactly alike. They're all unique. They're as unique as a human. And that's what I love about it, because you never know what you're going to see. That's the excitement of the weather and of storm chasing. And if you're into photography, and maybe you've never done this kind of thing before, maybe you're a landscape photographer, or you specialise in something else, you probably will find storm photography and weather photography to be very gratifying. It's very exciting and extremely challenging, and that's what I like about it. It's never put on a plate. There are never any guarantees, there are never any promises. There's going to be a lot of heartbreak and tears and letdown days, and believe me, that happens a lot, and I've experienced it so many times. But that's what makes it exciting, and that's why I like it. This is not, you don't get a perfect shot placed in your hand just like that. Those days are rare. Sometimes it happens, but it's rare. With storms, you have to grind at it. You have to chase as many setups as you can. Any day you're available to chase and the situation looks, wherever you're chasing, you go out. You simply just go out, chase. Best thing to do is just get on the road and get out and just gain experience and practice and watch the skies, take photographs, check radar. It'll all come together itself. But you just have to keep doing day after day, setup after setup. This could be over a period of weeks, months or years before you get anything cool. But when it does happen, when you get that cool scene, it's worth all that time and effort. It really is. It's so rewarding. There's no better feeling than coming back with a dramatic storm image on camera or a great experience. After putting in hours of driving in the hot, humid weather, It's amazing, and that's what I love about it. Actually, I used to be a fan of winter. Winter was always my favourite time of year years ago. I loved the dark, long dark nights for astronomy. I loved the snow, which I still do, by the way. But now I'm more of a spring summer guy, because now I love the feeling of being out on a t-shirt with the sun on my face, getting that vitamin D and that wonderful sensation of the sun. Just makes you feel so vibrant and youthful and buzzing with energy. And the people just to wear a t-shirt for once instead of wearing layers of clothes is a great feeling too. And watching those convective clouds bubbling up with the increasing solar heating and knowing at some stage 4, 5, 6 o'clock there could be a thunderstorm and not knowing for sure what's going to happen, that excitement of the unknown, the anticipation of the build-up while that hot weather is going on, it's just a wonderful time of year. Thunderstorms and noctilucent clouds are my favourite phenomena during the spring and summer months. Even at the moment we're locked down and hoping this all blows over soon and we get out chasing again because we're already into the early stages of spring. The sun is getting stronger, solar heating is increasing, and it won't be long before we start getting our first proper inland storm setups. Those days are coming, and hopefully we'll be out chasing soon to document those. Okay, has this been interesting or not? I don't know. I don't even know why I'm doing these videos. I think it's more of a self thing for me to sort of have something to focus on when I can't go out with a camera. I'm trying to talk about more about my life, about my interests, how I get into things, and I hope that maybe you will find it interesting to listen to, or maybe you'll feel inspired in some way, or maybe you have a question for me. There's something about storms or photography or astronomy side of things you want to ask, and maybe I could help you with. Put it down in the comments below and I'll try my best to get back to you. So it's now, well, it's 20 past 11. Feels like I've been talking for an hour. Is there anything else I can tell you about related to storms while I'm here? I can honestly say, when I look back on it, I've been photographing storm scenes now since probably 2019 or 2000, and this is 2020, so I've been photographing weather and storms for 20 years. I can't believe how much time has passed since then. It's just quite a long time. I didn't realise the extent of it, to be honest. But throughout that passage of time, I've done a lot of chasing, summer chasing, winter chasing. It's become my life. To me, it feels like this is what I'm here to do. I can't ignore it. It's a compulsion. If I see convective clouds going up, there's even 50 Cape, I feel I have to be out there. I have to be looking at the skies and watching for the unexpected. I enjoy that process. Severity, a lot of people think of storm chasing, they kind of laugh about it in Northern Ireland. Storm chasing? What storms do you get here? You know, you get this reaction a lot. People base storm, when you think of storm photography, people base it on severity like you get in the USA and other countries. Sometimes severe weather does happen here, but it's not severity really is what I'm after. It's about photography. It's a completely different thing. Photogenic cloudscapes, dramatic stormscapes, that's the kind of thing I'm after. They don't have to be destroying a house, if you know what I mean, but a nice storm sitting over a hayfield in the middle of summer, rumbling away, a nice light. To me, that's the goal. Capture a dramatic cell, a nice light, camera friendly, photogenic, dramatic, or even brutal looking, mean skies. That's the kind of thing I'm after, and that's what I'm trying to achieve every summer. Trying to capture those dramatic cloudscapes, something that makes people go, whoa, look at that, look at that, look at that cloud, you know, look at that cell, that's nasty. You know, that's the kind of reaction I want. I want to capture the awe, the magic, the mystery of convective clouds.
Oh, Ray.
I think Ray woke up from her sleep there. Maybe she's dreaming of tornadoes. Yeah. But yes, tornadoes, funnel clouds happen every year in Northern Ireland. As a matter of fact, there's been a big increase in funnels over the years, not because there are more funnels, but because more and more people are sky aware. People are now interested in nature. There's a big increase in interest in the weather, which I've seen coming for a long time. People have got a major interest in the weather. If you follow social media, there's an abundance of weather pages on there, storm pages. People are looking to the skies, they have their mobile phones, people have cameras on their phones. More and more people have cameras accessible to photograph the unexpected, and are capturing dramatic cloudscapes, and are capturing funnel clouds and even tornadoes on camera, because more and more people have that technology on them. So In the past, a lot of these things would have been seen but not recorded on camera, and people probably didn't believe them. But now there's an abundance of evidence out there that funnel clouds, and we know for a fact from research that funnel clouds and tornadoes are a natural part of Ireland's climate. That's a fact. They do happen. Anyone who laughs and puts sniggers to the thought of tornadoes in Northern Ireland does not know what they're talking about. A recent example was the waterspout / tornado that happened over Lough Neagh a few years back. What a beauty that was. Capturing a waterspout actually disturbing the water of Lough Neagh, causing a debris bowl, a water bowl spraying around below it is such a rare scene to get on camera, and quite a few people captured it on camera that evening. One of the most best photographed tornado events in modern times in this country, without question. My only regret was I never got to see it that day, which was a pity. I was out chasing to in a different area, but that's the nature of storms for you. But tornadoes do happen here. They've caused damage in the past. I personally know of one friend of mine who's an astronomer who, his brother experienced a tornado in the Achilles area years ago, which actually destroyed his mobile home and ripped an oak tree in half and lifted his oil tank and took it away from him. I mean, a large oil tank, and he's never seen the oil tank since, couldn't find it. The guy's brother actually escaped without injury that day because he happened to be in a different location, a couple of 100 metres away. And if he had been at the other location, which he normally would be at that time, he would have been in serious bother. But he experienced this damage in tornado and up close. And ironically, the car he has was lifted off the ground, the back end of it was lifted off the ground, the gat, and was held in the air by the tornado as it passed and then dropped again. And my astronomer friend actually drove that car around for years afterwards. We laughed and joked about it so many times. It's so cool. The car's now sold, but these things happen. Tornadoes happen in Northern Ireland. They do damage. They're very localised events. A lot of people miss them. There probably is a percentage of them that happen over the mountains on the countryside every year, which go unseen because they're fleeting. They may only last a minute or to a few minutes at best. And if you haven't got someone out at 3 or 4 in the afternoon in the middle of the country looking in that exact direction at that time, then nobody's going to see it, you know what I mean? So they happen. There are probably more of them than we believe to be the case. It all comes down to setups at different times of the year, the kind of synoptics, but what we do know now from what I've researched about it, it's not just the importance of the upper atmosphere that generates these dynamics that can cause rotation and funnels and tornadoes. It's also the land as well. Northern Ireland is a unique countryside because it's such a dramatic range of landscape, from flatlands to valleys and mountain ranges. The orographic lift over mountains, the currents of air passing through a valley up a mountain, differential heating from land versus bodies of water all contribute to this chaotic balance in the lower atmosphere above ground level, which can actually cause funnel clouds and tornadoes to happen. So on some occasions the land itself is actually the progenitor cause of these tornadoes forming rather than the cloud itself. So that's fascinating too. And based on that, you could actually hypothesize that there are certain areas of the country and certain wind directions you could target in the hope of catching one of these again in the future. Lough Neagh, for example, is a classic. Lough Neagh Basin. For some reason, it's a hot spot. When I was talking with Dr. John Terrell years ago in 2007, after I seen that big funnel cloud explained, he actually came up from Cork. He's a tornado investigator in Ireland. He works for Toro. Lovely guy. I got a great chat with him, and he showed me maps of the tornadoes he's documented over the years, the people he talked to, eyewitness accounts, damage track surveys he'd done, and I was blown away with some of the things he told me. For instance, 200-year-old oak trees snapped in two. When I mean snapped in two, they weren't just broken, they were actually twisted a quarter of the way up the trunk and then pulled apart like that. You actually can see it in the shape of the damage of the tree. He says that kind of torque to do that kind of damage is just phenomenal. It's extremely powerful, concentrated updraft. You know, that's violent. You see mobile homes lifted up, large mobile homes lifted up over 12-foot chain fences and thrown over the other side without the fence even being touched. So they must have flown a lot higher than the actual 12-foot. He's a great guy. So he investigated a lot of the Lough Neagh events, and he told me about eyewitnesses seeing the actual Achilles tornado I mentioned was actually 2 tornadoes. This actually was born over Lough Neagh as a water spout. It travelled north and then entered land around the Antrim area. South Antrim area, and the water spout actually split into two tornadoes, into sisters. One of them did damage in Nuts Corner, the other one did the Acklee damage near McGabbery, which my friend experienced. So 2 tornadoes in one day. And interestingly enough, that was actually, I believe that was possibly winter time. So we get, and the reason is we get these, we get strong wind shear in the winter time, much stronger than a lot of our summer setups. So even though with the Cape is less and there's less heat, the strong dynamics of that wind shear can actually tip the scale and cause stronger tornadoes to happen. The strongest tornadoes in the country actually happen during the autumn and winter period in Ireland for that reason. Much more powerful setups, but you're more likely to see them in the spring and summertime when you have these lovely clear air, polar air masses, or post-frontal air masses in the sunshine and good high Cape. You get these towering cumulus clouds going up, good clean air around them, nice bases. Those are the kind of ones you see the most photogenic funnel clouds and tornadoes from. There's been a lot that's happened. I've caught quite a few funnels over the years. I've lost count actually, but they're all on my website. If you go to my website, niceguyhunter.com, click on the storm chasing section, I have reports all on there of all my years of chasing. You can go through that if you like and see some of the storms and the excitement from it all. But it's a brilliant hobby, it's a brilliant passion. It encompasses so many different things together, which part of the attraction for me. It's photography, it's driving, it's a road adventure, it's the elements, being out in the elements, it's studying synoptic forecasts. There's just so many things combining together to make a storm chase a success. And the photography itself is interesting to me because I don't mean to be insulting to anybody out there who's a landscape photographer or anything of that calibre, because I have nothing but the highest respect for anyone who spends time out trying to get photographs. The difference with landscape is you can pick your landscape photography, a certain area you're interested in, and you can wait until the light is correct, get your filters right, frame your shot, compose it, get your settings correct, wait for that right moment of light and get your shot. It takes a lot of hours on location, of course, and a lot of trials and errors and different days to get the scene you want, but your land is not going to run away on you. So there's a bit of security in that in some respect. But with storm chasing, you don't have any security, you have no promises, you can't pick where you want the storm to be, rarely anyway. More often than not, your camera won't even be on a tripod. Things happen that fast. You're literally driving along a road, you have a short 2-minute window to get the shot before the rain's on you, so you have to pull over the side of a road, maybe flip over a gate in the field and get the camera. You have to get your settings really fast from experience to know how you're going to expose it without destroying the shot. And you have to take your shot, a couple shots, boom boom, and the rain's in on you, or the situation's changed, or the light has changed, or the storm has dissipated. Things happen that quick, the transition is so fast, and you don't have a choice over what your foreground is. You're literally, wherever you stop on the side of the road is what you have. There could be a house there, it could be in the middle of a town, it could be ugly power lines across a field, which is a nightmare. There's very little you can do about that, so a lot of it comes down to chance and luck. And you'll find that if you get into this, there'll be a large percentage of your images that you'll not be happy with for that reason, because the foreground is rubbish. But over the course of time, from what I said earlier, you have a list in your head of places that you prefer to go to for chasing. And if you frequent those areas more often, which offer the better views, and be more patient, eventually you will get rewarded with cool scenes over nice foreground. But there's a lot of luck involved, and that's what I like about it. It's so chancy. It's just it's pretty much tenacity, never ever giving up, never. Keep grinding at it, be passionate about it, keep chasing, keep doing photography, and eventually the planets will align and you'll see something really cool. What that something is entirely up to you. It doesn't have to be the most epic of scenes. It could be just a beautiful thunderstorm sitting over a field, or a lovely convective sail over the ocean or the loch. Might be your first funnel cloud, or might be a nice sunset. It could be a rainbow at the back of the storm. It could be rhomatis clouds. It could be a gust front shelf cloud. It could be a beautiful flanking line of updraft towers at the back of the sail. A well-defined anvil. It could be maybe a rare wall cloud with inflow cloud feeding into it. It could be a dramatic dark low base. Who knows? It could be any number of things. That's entirely up to you, but getting that shot at the right place at the right time and having the light is asking the universe to converge for you, and it takes a lot of chances, but eventually it will happen, and that's why thunderstorm photography, convective photography, is exciting. So yeah, that was a long chat, wasn't it? Right, it's now 20 to 12 at night. I think I'll call this one a wrap. I'll try to throw in a few images into this chat to spread it out a bit to give you some visuals, but if you, again, go on my website and check out my gist reports on there. So for my next vlog, I don't know what I'm doing yet. I might go on more about storms or astronomy or photography or drones maybe at some point, but I'm going to call it a night now and get back to the website. I think it's about time I took Rhea to bed. She's out for the count. Anyway, I hope you are all keeping safe and keeping well, and time is passing well for you during this lockdown. So stay positive, keep looking up, and I'll see you in the next one.